Hi all, this is Once and Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Today we have a trip to Hoenn and I see if I can beat Pokémon Emerald with a single Marill. Marill then, not the first time I've used this, but the first time in a very long time. We have a 250 base stat total, with 2/5 of that being our defense stats and 70 points of it being our HP. We are a chonky boy. Our attack stats aren't great though, with 20 in both, but at least we're a mixed attacker. Any cloud in a storm. We're a mono water type in this game, so weak to grass and electric, resistant to fire, water, steel and ice. Is our moveset fantastic? Well, not really. We do get a few water moves via level up. We do get defense curl and rollout as an option, but not sure how useful that will be in the early game, considering we have a fighting gym and electric gym where his biggest obstacle is part steel type. I know there's a fire gym, but realistically we shouldn't have to be relying on rollout to beat a fire gym when we have water moves. We do get some coverage via level up, as we can get both Ice Beam and Blizzard. Ice Beam then. We can get Iron Tail, Return, Dig, Brick Break and Secret Power, which might give us some options. I would be worried with our attack stats though. I know there's move tutors, but it's always a case of working out what's pre and post game, and well, I'll do that as I go along. The rules are on the screen throughout, and if you do enjoy what you see, then like, subscribe and ring that bell. Let us do this. I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Mudkip with Marill, so that I can do the whole run with it. I chose to replace Mudkip so that our rival will take Trico, which will probably be the hardest for us to fight. Probably. I saved the Professor from the Zigzagoon that is trying to ruin his life using the said Marill, and he's so grateful that he gives us this chonky blue mouse to go on our adventure with. Just as I did in Silver all those years ago, I nicknamed the Marill Blue and move on. Blue has the huge power ability, which is definitely the one that I wanted, since I'm pretty sure it doubles our attack stat. That's definitely a better ability than Thick Fat for sure on this Pokemon. We've also got the Brave nature, so more attack and less speed. Sure, I can live with that. I can live with that a lot. Being slower might be rough, but we'll deal, I guess. I'm doing some training now, getting those EVs on the way to the first rival battle. I don't see the Rock Gym being a huge issue, but I still need to be careful. Nosepass isn't as weak to water as the Geodude, and things have the capacity to swim out of control if we aren't careful. Nosepass actually has decent special defence. That is about the only sort of blot on the horizon at the moment. Once we make it past that particular one, there may be more ahead. There probably will be more ahead, but I'm not worrying about those just yet. The rival fight isn't at all problematic, as although Trico is faster and lamps us with several pounds, I notice our tackle doesn't do much, and so I use a tail whip to lower its defence and then smash into it with another pair of tackles to absolutely wreck its health bar. We do lose half of our health, but we never really look like losing the fight, so yay us. I'm back on the road to Rustboro City, mainly training, mainly battling, getting the levels. Once the Rock Gym is out of the way, I can't see the fighting gym being too difficult, but I don't necessarily think it will be easy either. I do think the Cycling Road rival fight and the Electric Gym will be horrendous though, so I really want to get some training in ahead of those. The Rock Gym then, and this sort of goes as predicted. I figured this was how things would play out. She begins with Geodude number 1, and I never figured this to be a problem. We fire a water gun at it and duly one-shot. Sturdy, not a thing in this game. We do the same thing to Geodude number 2 and duly watch it go crashing down. And now Nosepass. We do fire a water gun at it, but it doesn't do a huge amount of damage. She goes for Harden and Rock Tomb on us, while I go for a defense curl. I figure I might as well take advantage of our huge power and roll out. We trade a lot of blows, her using block and harden, while we hit some rollouts, but we never really get the chance to build up our power as we get 2 misses with the move. We do get her to eat her berry and use a potion, and at least we're really not getting hurt on the other side coming back. Eventually, we manage 5 turns of rollout in a row, and the 5th one folds Nosepass. 1 badge down. I'm going off on the road to rescue Pico now and continue to get some training in ahead of the next bit of the game. So, as priorly mentioned, I did use Marill once before, a very long time ago, in a Pokemon Silver challenge. I've used Azurill in challenge before in Fire Red. Now it's time to return to the line. Using Marill is fine because although it is technically an evolved Pokemon, it's weak enough to make things interesting with a fun ability to really kick things up a notch. And as evolved Pokemon go, like I say, not the toughest. Rustboro City rival fight then, and I'm not going to lie, we do get lucky here. Versus Wingull, we watch it miss Supersonic not once but twice. We crash a tackle into her, another one probably would down it, but I also get in a defence curl and roll out because I want to build up some momentum for Trico. We shrug off a wing attack and down Wingull before Trico comes in, leers at us, and then we roll right over it. Across Dewford, and it's time for the battle with Brawly. It does take a few tries. I feel like the phrase to be used is, Brawly isn't hard, but... with a massive asterisk next to the phrase. He begins with Machop. We hit tackle while it goes to bulk up. I counter with a defence curl and we get hit with seismic toss, but then we strike a bubble beam to put it on red health. Machop strikes blue with karate chop. Brawly heals. We then crit bubble beam and take it out with tackle. Meditite is a 2-shot with tackle, but it does put light screen up and also try and fail to charge up a focus punch, which means that Bubble Beam isn't going to be helpful versus Makuhita. On that opponent, we start with a tackle and do about a third of its health before it goes to bulk up. We hit another tackle to trigger the Citrus Berry, all while getting hit with Vital Throw. We hit another tackle, the light screen then wears off, but we get dropped into red health with Vital Throw. We then crit a tackle to take Makuhita out, and I will take that result. Travelling now. We've got a rival fight upcoming, which is traditionally tricky, but that's not going to be the worst thing ahead, since there will also be the Electric Gym after that, and that is really not going to be an easy battle, so I think I'm going to need to gain a lot of levels. Magneton might turn out to be an obstacle for us for sure. But hey, at least there's a Maxi fight and the Fire Gym after that, so we should have an easier time there. Not a guarantee, I know. Anyway, rival fight under Cycling Road. We have learned Double Edge in the interim, and although we get smacked with Wing Attack from Wingull, our Double Edge absolutely wrecks it in one hit. This is quite good with huge power. Grovyle comes out and hits Absorb, but thankfully it doesn't do huge damage, and we body it with Double Edge for a one-shot. Last is Slugma, and we blast it with Bubble Beam for a one-shot, and that was easier than expected, but we're not going to be able to Double Edge our way through Watson. Anyway, in Morville City, just in case you were wondering and were going to ask, I took the Acro Bike. Actually, now you know the rest. I battle through Watson's gym and then make a try on him. I'm not expecting much, but I am curious. I make a try at level 33 and it goes as horrifically badly as expected, as we get messed up by Voltorb to the point that it blows up on us, and then it's a simple matter for Electrike to wander in and take us down. I do make a few more tries at this level, but this is the highlight, and it's very quickly apparent that we're not doing it at this level. I go on the grinding trail then as I get the levels. I still think Defence Curl and Rollout may be our best strategy. We're going to be resisted by Magneton, but I have to have confidence that with enough levels and enough stat gains, we might be able to overwhelm it with the 4-4-5 Rollout. I don't know the maths, but it's a pretty potent move. In fact, I'm going to look this up, just to be sure. So it starts as a 30 power move that gets doubled if Defence Curl is used. So with Defence Curl, 60 power for turn 1, 120 for turn 2, 240 for turn 3, 480 for turn 4, and the fifth one will hit like a wrecking ball. 960, jeez. It's just a case if we can survive that long to pull it off. Or, since Rollout is... well, it's a 90 accuracy move that hits like a 50 accuracy move. So, yeah, if we can get that amount of turns going. Anyway, at level 38, it takes a few tries, but then we get this run. I have a Cherry Berry equipped just in case of paralysis, since it's a very real risk in this fight between Thunderwave, Spark and Static. We go for Defence Curl versus Voltorb and we get hit with Spark, which is pretty unfortunate, but no paralysis. Thank you. It does about a quarter of our health. We go for Rollout 1, it survives on a sliver and drops us below half health with another Spark. Watson heals, we take Voltorb out with Rollout 2. Electrike comes in next and Rollout 3, 240 base power, strikes it down. If he'd been smart, he'd have gone Magneton second. That Magneton is third, we power Rollout 4 into it, 480 base power, and despite it being resisted, we drop it in 1. Manectric is last, it goes for Howl, Rollout 5, then downs it. If it had gone for Shockwave, we may have lost there, I don't know if we'd have survived, but it didn't. So, 3 badges down. Travelling again then, so there will be Maxi upcoming, which would go either way, but probably not too bad. I mean, as Maxi fights go, I imagine it'll be pretty standard fare. There'll be Flannery, who we should be fine versus, but I guess we won't know until we get there. A better water move would benefit us, but we don't get Surf until after the 5th gym, and Hydro Pump isn't entirely useful due to low PP and low accuracy. So, I guess Bubble Beam will have to do. But it could be worse. Mind you, no physical special split is not really doing us any favours here because Waterfall with huge power would be pretty sweet. But it's a special move in this game. There's also the normal gym after that, which I could actually see being really rough. At Mount Chimney then, there's the Maxi fight, and if it wasn't for his debuffing Mightyena, this would always be an entirely pleasant fight. As it is, we have the Dark Doggo to contend with, and we're immediately intimidated, which isn't ideal, and I can see loss of attack being an issue throughout the entire run. We crash a double edge into Mightyena, it survives and hits Sand Attack. I was really hoping that wouldn't happen. We watch Maxi heal and then we take Mightyena out with a pair of Bubble Beams. Zubat is out second and we one-shot with double edge before Camerupt is last, and Bubble Beam is enough to one-shot that. I mean, I kind of figured it would be, being quad weak to water and all that. Plus level advantage. Anyway, Fire Trainer Flannery is up next, and well, I figure that we should be fine here, but let's see how this plays out. At least our Marill is female, so her Torkoal can't do attract shenanigans. Now, I've just got to worry about paralysis from Body Slam. She begins with Numel, we one-shot with Bubble Beam. Slugma is second, another Bubble Beam crashes into it and one-shots. Flannery's Camerupt is third, it doesn't do any better than Max's did, and we bring it down with Bubble Beam. Last is Torkoal, the main obstacle. Bubble Beam does about 2/3 of her health, putting her outside healing range. We get tagged with Body Slam, but hallelujah, no paralysis, and we take her down with another Bubble Beam. Okay, way smoother than expected. However, I bet the normal gym won't be though, and that's the next fight as we take on our dad in that gym. His team can be low-key rough, so we might be in trouble. I need careful move choice for sure, since reckless use of double edge will probably cost us with recoil and being hit hard. Anyway, it's not long before the fight begins. We go for Defence Curl versus Spinder, but we get hit with Teeter Dance. We then hit ourselves 3 times in Confusion, which very much not ideal at all, and probably far from it if we're honest. We've probably lost 2/3 of our health or so by the time we shake Confusion off and hit Spinder with Rollout 1, which puts it on red health. We then lose more health to Facade, Norman heals, and then we take Spinder out with Rollout 2. We take Vigoroth out with Rollout 3, and then we face Linoon, who outspeeds and goes to Belly Drum, but that just means we've got more chance of knocking it out with Rollout 4, before Slaking is last, and we Steamroller into it with Rollout 5 and one shot, giving us the win. Okay, that went better than I thought, especially at the start. We are travelling now, and there'll be a flying gym upcoming, as well as a pair of rival fights, which are likely to be straightforward enough. The flying gym will probably cause more trouble. There'll also be a Maxi fight in there, which will probably be more problematic, and then the always fun in Emerald Psychic Gym, which we might actually be okay with. We have Surf, and that can hit both opponents, so maybe it won't be so bad. Maybe. This is famous last words, isn't it? The Weather Institute rival fight is next, and it's raining, so that's a bonus. She begins with Slugma and we one-shot with Surf. Grovyle is second and we one-shot with Double Edge. Lombre is last and actually causes us some issues, hitting Fake Out and Absorb, but doesn't do too much damage to us before we take it out with Double Edge. Winona is the next battle. We do have Rollout still, but I don't think it's going to make the fight any simpler, since she likes to protect Stall with at least one of her Pokemon. She begins with Swablu, we go for Defense Curl, and she fails with Mirror Move before we one-shot with Rollout. Tropius is second, and Rollout 2 downs it, but that's as far as the Rollout goes, as Pelipper is next and immediately protects. We start a new Rollout on the next turn, and it one-shots Pelipper. Rollout then misses Skarmory and we get hit with Sand Attack. This just took a down turn. We do take Skarmory out with a pair of Surf Attacks though, but we do get hit with Aerial Ace. When Altaria comes out, we then start a new Rollout and we crit it to down in 1. Doing some travelling then, and Maxi will be soon. There is another rival fight, albeit an optional one in Lily Cove, and once we've dealt with the Aqua and Magma hideouts, it'll be time to take on the Psychic Gym, which I can see being its usual joyous self. I mean, I might as well talk about what's been ongoing with the channel, and not much really. I've been suffering a bit of a creative drought. Finding it very hard to motivate myself to do these at the moment. I did have a bit of a surge at the start of the year because of the 150th challenge thing, but once that was out of the way, unfortunately things did return to normal. I did play Resident Evil Requiem on the channel, but that was about my main source of activity for many months. I mean, there was one source of extra media activity I did do though. I did appear on the Who Would Win Masters podcast in a debate as to why I thought James Bond could beat Solid Snake from Metal Gear. Did I win? You'll have to listen and find out if you're interested. That collaborated video is on my channel. Check it out. You know what? Check the entire podcast out. It's great. Of course, that video drought extended several months, but I did eventually get to this. I knew I would, eventually. I do the Lily Cove City rival fight, but not much to talk about here. She begins with Tropius, we go for Defense Curl and Rollout, or at least that's the plan. We miss Rollout at the first attempt, we get hit with Sweet Scent and Magical Leaf, an odd combination to be sure. We one-shot with a crit Rollout, and then Grovyle is next. Once again, we one-shot with Rollout, before Slugma is third, and guess what? One-shot with Rollout. Pelipper is last though, and of course it protects to break our streak, but we bang it with Double Edge to take it down in one hit and give us the win. There is the Maxi fight immediately next, and this goes pretty well. He begins with Mightyena, we smack it with a Double Edge, but it survives, probably thanks to the Intimidate, which is not helpful. He misses Scary Face before, then using a Super Potion. We go for a Surf in the next round, and that does finish Mightyena off. Crobat is second, it hits Wing Attack before we do about 2/3 of its health with Double Edge. Maxi uses another Super Potion, we hit Surf but it survives to hit another Wing Attack and then we take it out with Surf. Last is Camerupt, but you won't be surprised to hear we one-shot with Surf for a victory. That was simpler than I thought it'd be. Going through the Aqua hideout, I have to reflect on what's about to come. The Psychic Gym is never pleasant, but I have to hold out something approaching hope that since 3 of the 4 Pokemon are weak to water, we can do some major damage with Surf, which, well, as I said earlier, at least hit both combatants. There'll be an Archie battle after that, which I'm not expecting to be too difficult. The Water Gym shouldn't be too bad either. I mean, we'll resist most of the stab there. I've made my thoughts on Juan's team clear before. 4 jobbers hiding behind an admittedly tough Kingdra. Okay then, Tate and Liza, and well, I'd love to say this goes really well, but the truth is that would be a massive lie because it goes horrible. They begin with Xatu and Claydol. We hit Xatu with Return, but it survives, which is unfortunate. Surf does about 1/3 of Claydol's health too, which is incredibly bad, but it doesn't help that Xatu puts the sun up before we take it out with Return. But with the sun up, it's only a matter of time before the combination of Earthquakes and Solar Beam from Solrock bring us down. Oh dear, so how many more levels am I going to need to brute force this, I wonder? Level 66 was not enough, it would appear. I need to do way more damage. I do train up to level 70 on the water paths, and I'm curious to see if this is a tipping point. Can't see it, but I have to try it at least. And you know what? I make some tries at level 70, and if things go in our favour, I think there's a chance here that we might be able to overcome them. We do need a certain amount of luck, that's not up for debate, but I think this can be done. Eventually, I get this effort. Our Wynut goes down to Xatu using Psychic. We bang the Xatu with Return and Revenge kill it. That's the early exchange. Earthquake doesn't do a huge amount of damage to blue, but I use Defense Curl. Solrock comes out and uses Sunny Day. Our water moves will be useless now. I call for rollout, we strike Solrock but do slightly under half. Okay, so second one should take it out. We have to eat an Earthquake and a Psychic, taking us below half health, but a second rollout down Solrock. Rollout 3 crashes into Lunato, we drop down to a quarter of our health thanks to Earthquake, and we've turned into a 1v1 against Claydol. We eat another Earthquake and then Rollout 4 drops Claydol in one hit, which, low-key impressive given Claydol's defences and the fact it resists that move. Before we can get the next gym badge we have to battle Archie, and this is something that could have the potential to be tricky. Could, we'll see how it goes. He begins with Mightyena and we are intimidated. I smack it with Return but it survives and misses Swagger. Archie heals, we drop the Dark Doggo with another Return. Crobat is second and I go into Rollout. The first one does about a quarter of its health. We get hit with a pair of wing attacks because we are slower. Shocker, I know, but the second one takes it down for the count. Sharpedo hits Slash but Rollout 3 takes it down in one hit and we can move on. After story stuff, it's time for the Water Gym and the Hoenn and only. I don't think I'm too worried here, Kingdra aside. I've already made my thoughts clear once this video and that was enough. Anyway, he begins with Love Disc and we strike out with Return and one-shot it. Whiscash survives Return and goes for Rain Dance. Hoenn heals, we go for a Defense Curl before striking another Return. Whiscash wastes its only chance to attack with Amnesia and we take it out with Rollout. Celio is a one-shot with Rollout 2 and so is Crawdont with Rollout 3, so we are untouched by the time it comes to face Kingdra, and Rollout 4 smashes straight into it for the knockout blow and we take the win. 8 badges down. Travelling towards Victory Road now, we're going to have that upcoming fight with Wally. There's Victory Road to navigate and then there'll be the Elite Four. I'm up and running again with this run now. Believe it or not, that last battle was recorded several months after the Archie fight. Just needed a breather. I've been running through a few ideas to where to go next and I'm reasonably excited. Believe it or not, we lost the first attempt on Wally thanks to getting confused and thunderbolted by Magneton and leech seeded by Roselia. We did still manage to make it to Gardevoir at the end, but we got took out by leech seed damage, so not ideal and a little embarrassing. At the second attempt, I don't mess around with Rollout, which cost me before. We hit Altaria with Return, it survives and goes for a Dragon Dance before Wally heals it. Another 2 returns are enough to take it out, with it only going for Safeguard in exchange. Magneton is a one-shot with Surf before we take Roselia out with Return. Delcatty is 4th, we one-shot with Return, before Gardevoir survives Return on a Sliver and goes for Future Sight. Wally heals, but we take it out with Surf and Return. I don't know how I feel about the upcoming battles with the Elite Four. The Hoenn Elite Four have the potential to be decidedly annoying. Sydney can be irritating because of his Mightyena at the start that will intimidate us, and it also has that Sand attack, which has the potential to be a run ender. He has 2 grass types, although I couldn't say if he has grass moves on them, not off the top of my head. Crawdont is annoying as it likes to spam Swords Dance and then use Strength, and then there's Absol. Phoebe has the annoying Protect, Pressure, Dusclops at the start, and we're not going to be able to use our best move in return on her. Glacier I'm not entirely too worried about, and when it comes to Drake, there is a chance we may need Ice Beam, but shouldn't be too bad otherwise. Wallace may be rough again, as we are going to be relying on Return. I wish I could get the Shell Bell, but the tide is just not being convenient for me at the time I'm doing this. It's coming in at times I'm either asleep or at work. I would ask you to feel sorry for me, but given how long I've had to do this challenge, yeah, I don't think so. Anyway, at Evergrande City, we've arrived at level 80 and our stats are pretty horrible. We've got decent HP, but everything else just looks terrible. About the only thing worth remembering is that our attack is doubled thanks to huge power, but that's still only 158 attack, which, while not to be sniffed at, is not entirely fantastic either. Take your guesses on if we can do it at this level or not. Right now, folks, let's do it. Cue that music. I make a try on Dark Trainer Sydney, and he begins with Mightyena. We are both intimidated and sand attacked in the first turn, and worse, Return doesn't even come close to knocking it out in one hit, so that's something to be worried about. We miss a Surf, we get hit with Double Edge, and that puts Mightyena in healing range from the recoil. I go for a Defense Curl, we land Surf and have to tank a pair of Crunchers, the first of which lowers our special defense. We do eventually take Mightyena out, but the chances of us winning are pretty slim at this point. Captain survives Return and then drops us with Needle Arm. Yeah, this is going to be a problem. I do make another attempt straight after. We do get to Absol on that one, but we're roughed up that badly over the course of the fight that it ends us pretty quickly. And I figure that doing it now is not going to be a winning proposition without a lot of luck. I'm going to go and train. As I train, part of me considers two TMs I have access to, Brick Break and Ice Beam. Now, Brick Break would be useful here, we might be able to one-shot some stuff. However, it leaves us badly lacking versus Phoebe after, as we'll only have Surf and she has two high defense Pokemon with pressure, and plus it might still not be enough. I'm thinking of Ice Beam. It'll use our less good attack stat, but it will be effective versus Cacturne and Shiftry and Drake's team later on. An attempt at level 84 yields fruit. Mightyena only hits us with Double Edge after surviving Return. We take it out with a pair of Surf attacks after Sydney drops a heal on his Dark Doggo. So we came out unscathed. Cacturne is a one-shot with Ice Beam, nice. Shiftry isn't though, it survives and goes for Double Team. We miss Return and get hit with Torment before taking it out with another Ice Beam. Crawdont survives Return and goes for Swords Dance while we use Defense Curl. We tank a Strength and take it out with Return. Absol is last, we land Surf while it goes to Swords Dance and eats the berry, but thankfully the berry doesn't take it out of healing range and we drop it with Return. Ghost Trainer Phoebe is next and we have to deal with that Dusclops. The first effort is a mess. We get paralysed by one of the Bayonet and eventually go down to Sableye, which isn't ideal. Other efforts go just as badly and so I retreat off to train some more. I mean, this is something done out of necessity. I don't think there's too much more that can be done at this point other than try and boost our stats enough to make a difference. That Bayonet with Thunderbolt is pretty lethal. We can't use our best attack stat and best move thanks to them being immune to Return. And I know what you're thinking, shouldn't have got rid of Rollout, but hey, it would have been a nightmare building up on that first Dusclops with that move. Plus, Sableye does have Detect, which would have been even more problematic. At level 87, we lose an effort to Curse and then get this effort. We Defense Curl versus Dusclops and then smash it with Surf to do just over half its health. But unfortunately, we get hit with Confuse Ray. We hit ourselves and then Dusclops lands Shadow Punch, it then goes for Protect, but we hit ourselves in Confusion. I'll take that for sure since it stops us from wasting PP, I think. The pattern then repeats itself. Dusclops protects, we hit ourselves in Confusion. We then fight through Confusion and take Dusclops out with a Surf attack. Bayonet number 1 is second and barely survives Surf before landing Thunderbolts hard on us. We've lost over half our health. Phoebe heals and then we strike 2 Ice Beams to take Bayonet out. We strike an Ice Beam to do less than half its health and then it starts to spam Grudge. I spam Defense Curl as it does. I don't remember exactly what the move does, I think it wipes out PP, but I don't want to get hit by it, and I know she can only use it a few times. Eventually, she fires a Shadow Ball, we crit a Surf, and we take the second Bayonet down. Sableye is dropped onto red health by Surf and goes for Double Team. She heals, but we take it down with Ice Beam and Surf in succession to put us into the fight with Dusclops number 2. We hit Surf, we get countered with Shadow Ball. Thankfully, they don't do a lot of damage. Our second Surf puts her on red health and then she eats the berry. We take it out to get the win with another Surf and I'm breathing a huge sigh of relief. Ice Trainer Glacier is next. I mean, I think we should be fine here. We've got a lot of health, our special defense isn't completely terrible and I suppose they can't really hurt us too much, at least I hope that's right. Plus, I can use Return again. She begins with Celio number 1 and we put it on red health with Return. She goes to Hail, heals, and then we 2-shot with Return over the next 2 rounds. Glalie number 1 survives return on red health. It only goes for light screen and then we take it out with the second return. Celio number 2 emerges next. It survives return, puts the hail back up and then we take it out with the second return. Glalie number 2 taken out with a single crit return and that just leaves Walrein, and this is where things nearly go bad. Return does about half its health but we get frozen with Ice Beam. Worse, we're still getting chipped down by hail damage and we're hit with more ice beams and surfs. With only 15 HP left, we defrost and take Walrein out with return to give us the win. Dragon Trainer Drake is 4th. I had to do this fight twice because I forgot to record the first time. We go for Defense Curl versus Shelgon, who is out first while it goes for Protect. Then we one-shot with Ice Beam. I said I'd need that move for this fight. Altira is 2nd, we outspeed and one-shot with Ice Beam. Kingdra is 3rd, it survives return and hits Smoke Screen, but we managed to land a second return to take it out. Flagon is 4th, we one-shot with Ice Beam and then we have to face Salamence in last and we are intimidated. We are also slower, we get hit with Dragon Claw. I see that and wish this was 3 gens later and we miss an Ice Beam, but we survive a second Dragon Claw with plenty of health to spare and we land an Ice Beam to take Salamence out. Finally, the champion. I make a few tries with Defense Curl and realise quickly this isn't going to work. I do have an option though, it's cheap but it could be a game changer. I do have the double team TM. I created this script in January so this run has been ongoing for a while. It takes a handful of attempts but eventually we get this run. He begins with Wailord and I start to get my 6 double teams up. Wailord is capable of hurting us with double edge, so the fewer that land, the better it will be. Remember, we've got no health recovery. Wailord always begins with Rain Dance. It's time, and we are still getting hit. We lose nearly 100 points of health before we get our 6 double team up, and once we do, we can strike those 2 return attacks to bring Wailord down. A Shell Bell will be so useful now. Ludicolo goes for a double team of its own, but we can strike 2 returns to take it down. Tentacruel outspeeds and hits Sludge Bomb. I'm glad we're not 3 gens later. Wallace goes for a cycle of healing his Tentacruel, dropping 2 full restores on it because return isn't quite a one-shot until we crit and drop it. Milotic is 4th, we 2-shot with return, it misses Surf on us and even a berry isn't enough to save it. 5th is Whiscash, who survives return and only goes for Amnesia before we take it out with another return. And last is Gyarados and we are intimidated. Our return does about a third of its health, give or take. It starts a Dragon Dance and that is terrifying for sure. We don't have much health left, it misses Earthquake, we put it on red health with return. Wallace heals, Gyarados misses Hyper Beam and 2 returns put it back on red health, so we are just missing out on that killing blow. Another full restore, we land a return and then Gyarados hits Earthquake, but we survive with 40 HP left. Gyarados misses Hyper Beam and then we take it down with another return to give us the win. With that, I breathe a huge sigh of relief and we can go and enter the Hall of Fame. Well, that was a trial. Obviously, I had a big gap in the middle of the recording of this one, but there was some personal stuff going on in my life which I don't really want to go into too much detail here. It's just, I like to think I'm over the worst of it now. I like to think I'm going to get back to this, but point is, stuff happened. I've wanted to make it back for a while though, and I did. I made it through the other side on this one. I suppose it was nice to use Marill again. I mean, I don't remember if I mentioned it earlier in the video. Obviously, again, first part of this audio was recorded a long time before this bit that I'm doing now. I know I used Marill in a very, very early challenge. I mean, I did Pokemon Silver with it. I mean, this was when I was still doing Pokemon Silver challenges, but yeah, and that was like the first time I played through Gen 2 in what had to be at least a couple of decades, and it was, I feel like that was the point where I did really get into these, because I had done challenges before that. I'd done the, if it was my third challenge, there was the Glameow challenge and there was the Black with Mean Food challenge. I can't remember if the Red with Vulpix challenge came before that or not, and yeah, here we are, back with Marill and back on the challenge streak. So yeah, challenge number 151, and let's hop on. Thanks for watching, thanks for coming back, I hope you enjoyed. Will there be another challenge? I'm going to do my best to make one up. I've generally got a few ideas that I want to delve into, but we shall see what exactly comes next. I'm not going to spoil it. You'll have to wait and see. I mean, you might have noticed that there was some difference with the way that things were recorded on here. The opening was a bit different. There wasn't the trivia section. There wasn't much of what's been going on the channel, because, to be honest with you, not much has been going on the channel. But yeah, do I want to declare that I'm back? Perhaps. Am I going to do it? Let's give it a few videos and see. But until then, I will see you on the next one. This has been Once and Future Gamer, just saying thank you for joining me. Take care, have a great day. See you next time. Bye bye.